The year's 1946. World War II is over, and its looming shadow has finally began to fully retract across a now grateful and peaceful globe. Many people are celebrating. Many things are good. Things are happy. Money is being spent. The boys are coming home. The ladies are coming home. Everybody is coming home. The world is getting right back to where it started from. Right back before that mean man decided to make everybody's lives a living horror for a long several time. And you know what those folks started doing just a few, the war ended in 1945, so, about 9 months ago, you know what those folks were doing as soon as they came home? They were making babies. Ooh, were those soldiers coming home and making babies with their best gal or their best guy? They were enjoying the spoils of war in the bedroom like they were a football team pulling up to a Golden Corral before an away game. It was an incredible time, but little did they know that the carnal relations that they were enjoying in their feather beds in places like Ohio, Missouri, Kansas, Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee, Florida, New York, Michigan, Maine, California, Texas, New Hampshire. Little did those people know as they rolled around in the hay that they were actively creating the next great threat on this earth. And of course I am talking about the boomer. Baby boomers are people born between the years 1946 and 1964, depending on what website you're on. And although I am glad that they were born so that I could then be born in a later generation, I can't help but have this sinking feeling in my stomach that maybe the world would have been better off if we would have just skipped those years. Maybe we would be in a better place now if there had been a moratorium on childbirth for that 20-year period. Because Jesus, God in heaven, the boomers are out of control. Now, not all boomers are like this. I'm not trying to paint people as a monolith at all. There are many sweet grannies and grandpas right now that you can point to and say, no, this is an example of a good boomer. There are good boomers. You can find some good in just about any group of people, okay? You can also find some bad. And that's what I'm focusing on today. I don't want to talk about the sweet granny that bakes cookies. I don't want to talk about the kindly grandpa who takes you fishing and teaches you lessons about life. Those aren't the things I'm talking about. I'm talking about the demons on Facebook. Ooh, do they love Facebook. Facebook has been completely ruined by this generation of human beings because they have a fundamental misunderstanding of what's true and what isn't, which is crazy because they're the same people that were telling us when we were children. Now listen, I don't know what the hell I am, okay? I don't know what the fuck. I was born in January of 1995. Some websites say that makes me a millennial. Some websites say that makes me Gen Z. I would love to hear in the comments what you all think because it's really driving me crazy. And when did we start focusing on this generational thing, by the way? I don't remember this always being a thing. Maybe I'm going crazy, but I didn't start hearing about really identifying and taking pride in the name, like your generation's name, until millennials became a thing. And then people just wanted to shit on millennials. I'd heard of Generation X, I've heard of the greatest generation, which I've heard, obviously we've heard of boomers, but it was just kind of like a term that it was just kind of in the background of society. Now it feels like it's everywhere. Everyone's always talking, and there's new ones coming out. It feels like we're making new ones way too quickly. These Gen Alpha kids, I think there's Gen Beta kids already being born. We just need to slow. We need to stop making new teams, and we just need to play well with the ones that we've got. You understand? But like I was saying, these people were the same ones that were telling us, don't believe everything you read, especially when it's online. Don't talk to strangers online. Oh, if it's on the internet, then that means it's probably not true. These are the same people that are sharing memes like these, and posts like these, and these, and these, and these. There's no shortage of craziness coming out of the boomer community on Facebook, and specifically Facebook. They have not figured out any of the other ones, and I'm sure that makes Mark Zuckerberg really happy that his website that was created to rate the hotness of college co-eds is now being used by grandparents to slowly kind of document their descent into madness. Now, every generation has its problems. I completely understand that. If we're categorizing me as a millennial, yes, millennials are fucking annoying. They're weird, they're cringy. Or if you're categorizing me as a Gen Z, well, now that's a totally different story because we've never done anything wrong. And actually, it's everybody else's fault that things are so bad. And I can't even imagine why anybody would be mad at me. And if you're mad at me, you have to stop. You have to stop right now. Stop being mad at me. It's freaking me out, and I'm not allowed to be freaked out. It's not something that I allow to happen in my head because I'll go and I'll get my parents and they'll They'll side with me. I don't care if you're a teacher, a doctor, or a police officer. If I tell my parents that I did one thing and you're telling them that I did that it's the other thing, that I did the opposite of that thing, and that I actually did something wrong, I'm gonna freak out, and I'm gonna freak out. I'm gonna do anything that I can to get rid of you, and I'm gonna get rid of your wife, and I'm gonna get rid of your dog, and you'll never see the light of day again because there's nothing. I've never done anything wrong. And then there's Gen X, which is like the middle children of this history, where they didn't really have like the technology early enough to do anything with it, but they were also too young and sort of hip to vibe with the things that their parents liked. So most of them ended up just like dressing like characters from The Matrix, and trying to hang out with people younger than them, way past the point when they should be, to try to feel something. You know what I mean? Because they feel like they never got something. Or the other option for Gen X people was to have children and be very ill-equipped to raise those children because they were raised by boomers. Boomers are vicious monsters that only are out for themselves and their own interests, and they're very selfish in that way. They love to lord things over their children and their grandchildren and make you feel cold and miserable on the inside. They destroyed their families by not equipping the people, the multiple people that they created, whether it be their children or their grandchildren, with any sort of like values or social skills. All they did was yell and stamp their feet. Boomers love to do this thing where they like to flaunt it in everybody else's faces how much they have, and how much they've done, and how much they've earned, and how much they feel like they're still owed. But boomers love to do this thing where they like to show you their house and be like, I bought this house when I was actually younger than you when I bought this house. Why don't you have a house? What's going on? What's the problem? Why haven't you pulled yourself off your bootstrap, up by your bootstraps and gone and bought a house for your family? You don't even have a family. Why don't you? I had 2 kids by the time I was your age. What's going on? Why are you so slow to do all of these things? Why can you not afford it? Yeah, we can't. But when you hear boomers talk about their homes that they bought or their degrees that they got, and whenever they're like, oh, I don't see why we need to have student loan forgiveness. I was able to pay off all of my college working on my father's farm or waiting tables or blah, 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 blah. Look at this. Look right here. This is how much it cost to go to college when they were in school. This is how much medical school cost. Oh, you could be a doctor for this much money. A doctor. You could be a medical doctor to, helping give birth to babies of new generations that you can then scold later on whenever you see them in line at the checkout at Walmart, your favorite place in the entire world. These folks, they love Walmart. They love going to Walmart and walking around and making problems for the employees. They're like teenagers in that way. But now that Walmarts aren't open 24 hours anymore, you see less and less teenagers causing problems in them. Instead, you see boomers and their rascals trying to end civilization as a whole. I think that's what they're after. I think a boomer, the boomers see the end, they see the finish line coming for them, and they want to take it all with them. And the boomer loves to complain. The boomer loves to complain that things ain't the way they used to be, or things are so much worse now, or things, back in my day, things like that. And it's like, listen, how do you think things got so bad by your own definition? Because I don't necessarily think things are that bad. Some things certainly are bad, but some of the things that boomers complain about, like nobody respects their elders anymore. Back when I was a kid, we all respected our elders. Well, maybe because those elders were deserving of respect. Did you ever think about that? But I get it. Getting old sucks, and it's scary, and it's weird, and you've never done it before, and you only get to do it one time, and there's really no manual for it because everybody's different. Everybody's life is different. Everybody's experiences is different. People have different amounts of money. People have different amounts of, family that are still in their lives. I feel like if a lot of people would be able to cross-examine themselves earlier on in life and have a little bit of humility, God forbid they have a little bit of humility, maybe they could, walk into their twilight years holding the hands of their loved ones instead of using their fingers to type up racist things on Facebook. And let me just say this. Not everybody who is a boomer was born in that boomer zone. Boomer has become more of a mentality. There are 30-year-old boomers. There are 20-year-old boomers. There are boomers that are like my parents' age, like people in their 50s. Being a boomer isn't just a generational thing. It can be a mindset. It's the mindset of just being shitty to folks. Being shitty to folks because you think you deserve something. You think you've earned something just because you were born in a certain time and place. Not because of anything you've done or any good you've brought into the world, any work you've done, any tangible things that you've put into humanity, into society that would garner people kind of holding you up in high regard. No, you deserve a pedestal because you want it. and you want to buy it. They're very selfish. They confuse selfishness with toughness. They think that they're tough. Like, well, if you would have been raised when I was, you wouldn't last a second. I had to walk to school in the snow both ways uphill with no shoes on. Okay, cool. Well, guess what? Now I have to deal with wondering if this person I'm talking to is real or AI. How about you deal with that? How about you deal with that while you're walking in the snow without your shoes? That the girl that you've been talking to for 3 months and you FaceTime with them, you've seen a face. That could be not even a real. That could be an AI. That could be a machine. I think I would take the snow walk over the AI catfish. But I really think it just comes down to some people just fucking suck. You know what I mean? Some people are just so up their own ass because they think that they have earned some sort of place in society that puts them above any sort of ridicule or criticism. They can't be corrected. They won't listen to it. They think that it's their way or the highway. Which, by the way, their way has destroyed the earth and the environment. Look at what's happened in the environment since around the time these boomers became adults, right around the late 20s into their early 30s till right now. That's when, okay, boomers, you get the reins. Now you get to run the world, because most politicians these days they're still boomers. The fresh blood, it's really hard to get fresh blood in there in the decision-making rooms in Washington, D.C. and abroad. No, hold on. How can a generation that's never wrong about anything and is so tough and powerful, how could this have happened under their watch? I wonder why. Maybe it's because you're not perfect. No one's perfect. You're flawed. And I think it's a beautiful and incredible thing that the later generations have realized that people of my generation and younger have realized, hey, this weird desire to always be right and to be respected above all and all this other horse shit, that's not the most important thing necessarily. Maybe helping each other and having humility and compassion and a big heart for others, maybe that's the way forward. I don't know. And of course my generation's not perfect, and of course the younger generations than me won't be perfect. The generation just behind me is not perfect. I don't think that's not the goal, and that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I think the one biggest thing that has been the biggest difference between how the old folks and the older generations have behaved to how we are now is, my God, we talk about our mental health. My God, we understand each other a little bit more. My God, we give each other more of a break. And if in your opinion that makes the world a worse place, fuck you, fight me. All right, I've had a lot of fun with you all today, but that's just about all I have to say about that. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.